there a kind of a delay? Yeah, look like I'm slow.
Oh, it's just like a half second or so. Are we rolling, Andrew?
Oh.
Yeah, we're rolling. Oh, look at that, folks. Hi. We'll see who's popping in today for our live. So Linda, what happens now is we've gone live, and now our followers get notified through email or some bell goes off if they're on YouTube already. There's Annalee. I knew it.
Hey.
I knew it. First to class as always. Hi, Annalee.
This guy's always right. It feels good to be going live, doesn't it?
Yeah. It is a wintry Tuesday afternoon here in Gloucester, Massachusetts.
Yes, it is.
I'm Corey from the Verge. And there, look at your name's up there too now. Linda Szabo.
Yeah, that's my name. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Oh my God. My name is up in lights.
She is our resident hypnotherapist and change worker joining us today. So what we're doing, we're here at my buddy Andrew's studio, Streamography here in downtown Gloucester. He's been helping us test out our shows in case we are going to use this space moving forward and until my bridge headquarters gets redone.
Yeah, I can't wait.
But also, we like doing the side-by-side shows together, too.
Yes, we do.
And this gives us a great chance to do that. So, anyway, Linda, obviously you have online workshops that you're planning to roll out starting later this month.
Yep.
We can get caught up in the meantime. I already have a question from one of our viewers when they heard that you were on, so we can go over that, too. But so what are you looking to accomplish today? What is getting the word out, first of all, but are there things you want to be talking about specifically?
Yeah, I really don't have anything too specific in mind because I was hoping that, as people came on and they had questions and we could interact. I just want to really tell people about my workshop and why they would want to attend. Just to find out what's possible for them and if they want to join. So in the interaction with the audience, I was hoping, I don't know how many people we're going to get today, all the sort of pertinent information will probably come out. But hopefully, I guess my main point today would be to have people be motivated to take action, not just to come to my workshop, but be motivated to take an action on their own behalf. If you're stuck, in life or you have a challenge or things aren't going well and you just haven't something, you're not moving forward. What is it that's going to nudge you forward? Like when you said, we're going live. I mean, that was exciting to me. I mean, isn't just being alive exciting?
Of course.
I think it is.
Every day's a gift, right?
Start there.
Yeah.
Take a nice deep breath. You got a roof over your head. You got food, warm from the snow outside. Mm-hmm. You're alive. Now, what do you want to do? And what's stopping you? Whatever's stopping you, that can be overcome.
I gotcha.
That's the message I want to get out today.
So, hi, Lisa. Thanks for joining us today. Coming at you live from the studio here in Gloucester with resident hypnotherapist and change worker Linda Szabo, who's working on online workshops now, and they're centered around overthinking. Thinkers and overthinkers.
I mean, that's one of the things, because I am an overthinker. I mean, thinking is huge, because you can think too much. Thinking is great when you need to use thinking to get a job done or, figure things out. Practical mind kind of thinking. But when you don't have to figure everything out in life. That's the thing I learned. And so being a thinker, I thought I did. And sometimes it's better to not think.
And that's extremely difficult for some people to do.
Well, you can't not think completely, but you can not pay attention to all the thoughts that come through your head. Your mind is telling you a story. Like I think I've said in previous, sessions before. Your mind is telling you a story, And then there's, let's call it the energy of you, that aliveness that we're talking about today. Then there's the energy of you. And sometimes you just want to tap into the energy of you and see what comes up. If you're so busy with all that yakking going on in your brain, you're going to miss something. Because we have an innate intelligence within us, that really is a great place to live from. And that's the part where I want to get people to even get there, is that, and to live from that. You can still use your thinking, but you don't need, thinking is not king.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
So Annalee, hi Rose, how are you? Lisa, If you have questions for Linda, feel free. We'll answer them in real time. I actually have questions for you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go live for a little bit here, test the waters. This show is actually being recorded. I'll play that prime time as well. I may actually play that before the Annette show Wednesday evenings. I know we're going to have a big crowd for that. I'll be live again tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, to take questions for Annette. And I can also take questions for Linda, too, for a subsequent show. So feel free to do that. Of course, I'll have more on that in a bit. Oh, hey, LB. Hi, Diane. How you doing? All right, so we're starting to get some people in here. So, yeah, so if you have questions for Linda, maybe you're an overthinker as well, and that's something pertinent to her upcoming workshops. If you want to learn more about her workshops, you just go to brushwithlifehypnosis.com, and all the info is there. I do have a question for you off the top, Linda, if you're ready.
I'm ready.
Okay, so this actually comes from another Linda. This is from Linda Casey.
Oh.
And Linda asks, Linda, I've been accused of being an overthinker my whole life. I'm a musician who loves to dissect a piece of music in order to appreciate its complexity. In fact, I just finished listening to the entire 2-hour composition of Handel's Messiah just to get an idea of the composer's thought process. The only time I would consider myself stressed by this mindset is when my own desire for excellence doesn't translate to other band members who don't share the same vision as me. Anyway, I was wondering whether Linda understands this type of overthinking, or would she just recommend that I be committed to the nearest mental institution for evaluation? That's Linda Casey. So that's a lot, so I can break this down.
So, yeah, you might have to break it down for me, but that's an awesome question, and it's very funny, too. There's a couple of things in there. I mean, the whole creativity energy is amazing. I'm just getting into music myself for the first time in my life. Not the first time. I mean, I sang a solo in the first grade and ended my career right there. But a couple of years ago, I walked into a studio right here in Gloucester, and they said, we have a music jam Sunday nights, come join us. And I'm like, oh, okay, sounds like fun. I don't play an instrument or anything. So I went there, and it was fantastic. So they said, well, we're making it up, join in. And I did. And I'm like, wow, where did this come from? So I got back into singing just from that one experience. And then I've since taken up learning how to play the ukulele. So
why don't you bring it?
Yeah, well, I'm not ready for that yet. And I've actually written a song. And I've written a lot of lyrics, but I couldn't figure out how to do the music. So I have engulfed myself into the music world. And it's very transformational. So I know where she's coming from. There's so many aspects to it. So it seemed like the problem arose when at the end she was saying that she couldn't get everybody else to share the same vision.
Right.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's a lot of practical thinking to that. So is it your band? Are you all agreed upon the outcome, the vision? That would be a question. I don't know the answer to that. If she's on today, we could talk about it. I would never compromise your vision. I mean, I would do that, show them what it's about. If they can't get into it, okay, do they want to? I mean, right. It's all about a collaboration when you're working with a group. I haven't really worked with a group that much. I've worked in jams with people, and that's a little different because you have the expectation that everybody's going to bring their own thing to it. It's not a professional gig. We're not practicing a piece. We're allowing for everybody's input in that moment, and that's where the synergy comes from. That is what I love about it, is that, wow, where the hell did that come from? Each person gave their part, and something was created that you wouldn't have thought had you sat down and planned it. So that's what I love about music jams, because you get the opportunity to do your own thing. But
what interests me about this is synergy, I think, and synergistic thought is an amazing thing to try to wrap your head around, because I go through life trying to find kindred spirits. Right? Now, when you're trying to think of why don't these folks share the same vision? Why don't my bandmates share the same vision that I have? Or how come when I think of something this way, why can't you think of something the same way I think of something? People have a hard time realizing that you can't project your thoughts. Not your thoughts aren't necessarily shared with anyone. in the world. But some people sort of get stuck on, I'm thinking this way, why can't you think this way?
Right. Well, that's huge. So in everything in life, not just in music.
Right.
So everybody has their own, let's call it a frame, okay? Frame or a filter or a map, and how they navigate through life. Even in just a conversation, like right here between you and I. You have your own way of thinking about it, your own frame, and I have mine, okay? So we can converse because we kind of know what each other's thinking. Like I get the question. If I didn't, I'm trying to practice now. I ask a person, what did you hear me say? Or I'll say, okay, is this what you're asking me? So there was two parts to what you said. One, you're always looking for kindred spirits. Well, those are hard to find. I mean, I think you're just going to meet them. If you're looking to find them, I mean, where are you going to find them?
Right.
They're everywhere, but you don't know it until you kind of hear them speak or you see them. So, you resonate with a person. You say, oh, I get what you're saying, and you get what I'm saying, and kind of, connect that way. So when you're doing that with music, okay, so sing your vision. You have to show people what it is you're doing. Now, if there's something in that excites them or that they can resonate with, or they might even want to change something, I don't know. Is this a collaborative venture? So you have to agree that we're going to collaborate or not. If not, it's your vision, and they need to get on board with, and you need to show them what you want.
Yeah, because I wonder if she's frustrated with, she listens to Handel's Messiah, and she absorbs it a different way, and she's feeling something, and maybe it's frustrated that she feels the others aren't feeling it the same way, or it's not striking the chord with them. So I don't know. I think it's a fascinating discussion.
Yeah, I mean, if she comes on, we could ask her a few more questions, because there is a lot to this. They're not going to hear it the same. Everybody hears it in their own way, and what they hear. Our minds eliminates, it adds, it expands to whatever is happening in front of you. Everybody is different, given their own filters and their own conditioning and their own life. It's not going to be the same experience.
Well, what if this is a real problem for somebody, though? Like, why can't you get on the same page as me? Why don't you see things the way I see? How does like Linda, in this case, Linda Casey, better deal with that frustration?
Boy, that's a long answer, because there's so much in there that you can do. Just knowing that you're bringing your interpretation of what you hear, and the other person is bringing their interpretation, and that interpretation is coming from your mind that's interpreting what you see. It's all an interpretation of what it means to you. So if the other person is okay, knowing that it's not a reflection on, there's not one way to do this. There's many ways. What would we like to choose? How does what we're doing fit the vision for the piece? Mm-hmm. If it doesn't, you don't use it. If it does, don't take it personally.
Right.
It's just how that person saw it. Now, they might contribute something that's very worthwhile. As a matter of fact, I was just listening to something yesterday. I'm always listening to something or reading something, whatever. And I hear gold with what some of these people are saying, and I take that and add it to my repertoire of knowledge. That's what I love about listening to people that have a different point of view or see something different that I wouldn't have thought of. It's like, oh my goodness. And mostly I'm always trying to find, how do I communicate what I'm talking about to the audience? That's what I find the most difficult. And I hear so many people communicating it in their own way, and I'm like, oh my God, that is brilliant. I'm going to use that. So, yeah, that's just it. So there's a lot to the answer. I mean, we don't have to, I could sit here for a couple hours to talk about this, but hopefully we'll have a chance to connect with Linda.
Yeah. Okay, hold on. There are questions up here. I have the light in my way. I got to try to read them here. But Sharp Lisa has one.
They could be a little larger.
Can you see? Hey, Andrew, can you move the text box up a little bit? Okay. So in the meantime, I do have another question for you, Linda.
Yeah.
This is from a newer viewer of ours called the Hungarian Aquarian.
Oh.
Who wants to know if your name is Hungarian.
Yes, it is.
Look at that.
Yes, it is. It was my husband's name. Szabo. Yeah. Yeah. I was so glad he was Hungarian when I met him. I don't know why, but I just really connected.
You were really?
Yeah, well, I'm half Greek, half Armenian.
Oh, no kidding.
And when he said Szabo was Hungarian, I'm like, oh, I kind of thought that was exotic. So.
Now, did your maiden name rhyme with Armenian? Because I find with Armenian people, their last name all sounds like Armenian.
Yeah, that's a very interesting point.
I lived in Little Armenia, and when I was out in Los Angeles, in Glendale, that neighborhood, the Little Armenian neighborhood.
Yeah, I have some relatives out there.
Oh, yeah?
No, because my maiden name was Greek. So my father was Greek, my mother was Armenian. So my maiden name was Economou.
Oh, no kidding. I've seen that name before.
Yeah, there's a lot of Economous. My mother's maiden name was Kirkjian. So, yeah.
Oh, like the baseball writer?
Kirkjian.
Kurkjian?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're big writers. Tim Kurkjian, his brother, is a big writer for San Francisco Chronicle.
Interesting.
Yeah, real famous writers.
Wow.
Look at this.
I know. I love it.
Okay, Linda, we have another question for you. This is from Sharp Lisa. Not sure if my question falls under overthinking, but I find myself counting in my head when doing something repetitious. It makes me crazy. I have to think to stop myself. What is that?
Yeah. Well, who knows exactly? But the thing is, so just notice it. So there's a couple of ways to do that. So to sort of get you to, when you do that, to focus on something else that you like. You could picture the numbers and have them disappear. You could, you can change that coding of that. So if you see the numbers, did she say she hears them? I find myself counting in my head, so you must hear that. So you can either practice counting very faintly. And then, your brain will start to say, oh, okay, you want to count very faintly. So this is what happens. These things show up. We don't know why, but you don't have to pay attention to it, or you can just acknowledge it. Oh, there's that counting again. Okay. So what? So your counting's shown up today. Okay, thanks for sharing. Okay, now I'm on to the next thought.
I've noticed this about you in the few months we've gotten to know each other. When it starts time to help people, you are very good at turning the page. Like, wait, you're doing that? Yeah, big deal. Turn the page, do this now.
Yeah.
So explain that a bit to me. Like, articulate better than I am articulating what that is.
So every thought. Okay, you want to get deep into this?
Here we go, folks. It's Linda time.
Yeah. Every thought is never now. Okay? Our thoughts, the moment we're having a thought in this moment, it's into the past. The moment it's here, it's now, it's gone into the past. So it's a memory. Okay? So that thought is a memory. Now, just think about that for a second. Is she on who asked the question? Yeah, she's there.
Lisa's on.
So, just say to yourself, so when that counting comes on, just close your eyes and just think to yourself, is that, where am I without that memory of that counting? Just think about that. Close your eyes, think, where am I without the memory? Because all thoughts just arise in the space of the consciousness in our brains. I mean, it's not really in our brains. That's another whole story, but that's another question. But everything arises in consciousness. Everything in objective consciousness, this table, this microphone, you, a thought form. It's a form arising in consciousness. So it's just a thought form arising in consciousness. So what happens to thoughts? They arise. Does it stay there for 24/7 constantly? No, it disappears. You have another thought, and then it's back again. Just to let it arise and do its thing and disappear.
That's a good point, because most people have a hard time trying to quell that repetitious.
When you're trying to quell it, that's why it stays there. So I think it was Shinzen Young has the formula of suffering. It's experience times resistance equals suffering. So every experience, okay, which can't happen without thinking, because that's how our mind works, okay? It's going to be, you can have a thought, you're You're going to see something. You're going to hear something, hear the counting, or you're going to see the numbers. I don't know how she does it, if she hears it. You're going to maybe feel the irritation from that. That's all experience arising in your consciousness. Can't be without thinking about it, because that's how human beings experience reality, through our perceptions of what we think it means. Okay? So if you know this is just how the mechanism works, then just let it come up and notice and let it go. But if you're thinking about it and saying, I shouldn't be having that, and how can I stop this? There's no stopping it. You don't have to stop it. So say, for example, a thought came in your head, I think I'm going to go dance a jig outside. I don't know. I mean, I've had crazy thoughts,
That's a good one.
Maybe even naked. I don't know.
We've upped the ante, folks.
Are you going to go do that? Well, you might, but I mean,
yeah.
Are you going to do that? No. Are you going to follow every thought that comes in your head? No. Now, are you going to sit around and think, geez, why am I thinking that? I don't know. I watch too much porn, or what am I, yeah. Why am I thinking these crazy thoughts? Who knows why a thought comes in your brain? I mean, your brains are constantly, millions and millions and millions of computations are happening here, bringing stuff up, like I said. Every thought, every moment is always in the past. So it's going into the archive. It's bringing up something in the moment. Maybe you just happen to hear Irish music playing or something. I don't know. Who knows? You could, now, you could stop and figure that out? You could be there forever. You wouldn't be able to get on with your day. So just let it go.
All these trigger points.
So who cares? Dancing a jig, numbers come up. Just let it come up, let it go.
Well, what if the person feels like it's debilitating? Is it?
Oh, define debilitating.
Well, if they feel weighed down from, okay, now they know. Okay. Every time I go to bed at night, now I got to go through this routine again. And
So
I don't
again,
feel like it's helping me. Yeah.
So again, a weighing down. Okay, well, that's a metaphor. Mine loves metaphors. So you can either go with the metaphor. If something was weighing you down, what will it take to lighten it up? So you could go down that road. Or you could feel, how is it weighing you down? Where is it weighing you down? And go into the sensation. Because again, a sensation, a sound, an image, all appear in your consciousness. So it's either going to be a sound, a sight, or a sensation, which is a feeling. Okay? Again, they just appear. They don't have any meaning unless you give them a meaning. So this is weighing you down. Really? Your brain came up with that story. Just what you can do with the sensation is just notice the energy, feel the energy, notice it until it's going to move. Just to put your focus on it, it's going to move. Let it move where it wants to move. It might move up here now. Okay, what's it doing now? Describe it. Just shine the light on it, and it will dissipate. Faster than if you say, I don't want to think about that, I'm trying to go to sleep. Well, you're not going to go to sleep. You're keeping yourself awake.
Gotcha. Interesting. Well, I hope that helps, Sharply. So thanks for the question. Folks, if you have questions for Linda, fire them our way now, and then she'll answer them in real time for you. We'll replay this show, and then we'll let you know when we're doing something again with Linda ASAP. But Linda, let's talk about your classes to the upcoming workshops that people can learn more about through Brush with Life Hypnosis. But why don't you tell us what these are all about? Okay.
So the basic premise of my workshops that are coming up is an emotional reset. That's how I'm framing this. Because if you notice, every challenge, everything that when you're stuck in all these things, especially these questions, your emotions get out of whack. You're out of whack, And that's because all emotions come from your thinking. There's those thoughts again. Thoughts are key. Have you noticed? So you really want to get the story about your thoughts, okay? And it all comes down to the fact, here's the big secret, is that you think. Let me just say that one again. It's that you think. You have thoughts, okay? So all emotions come from your thinking. So emotions are just a barometer to tell you how you're doing. So, if I'm emotionally, triggered, I'll say to myself, okay, what's on a scale of 10? Where am I at here? Oh, it's an 8. I'm really feeling this emotion. Oh, that's interesting. So I'm 80% believing what that thought is telling me. That's all that's happening. Oh, I got caught 80% worth. Okay. What do I tell my clients? Just let the thought be interesting. 80%. And it will go. It will dissipate. Yeah, sometimes they do stay around for a couple of days because you're thinking about it. Maybe it's about a guy or, something really important to you. But, you're keeping that thought alive by continually thinking about it. So that's just one way of noticing.
Okay.
And getting back to my workshop,
Right
I get into my own thoughts. I'm there. So I figured out it. I'm going to make it for once a week for just a couple hours, okay, for a month, and to just give people, I call it psychoeducation, to talk about the very things that I'm talking about now, because they've found that just educating people on how the mind works can make a huge difference. I mean, it actually can create a transformation in people. I know that they've had a lot of work done with pain management. If you're familiar with, I think I've mentioned it before, Dr. John Sarno's work. Just by reading his book about the fact that back pain is mostly psychogenic, unless you've gone to the doctor and they've found some real reason for a structural problem. It's psychogenic. The brain has made this up to keep you from something else, possibly an emotional trauma or something that else happened in the past, which is an amazing thing in and of itself. And just learning about that and knowing about it, people's back pain has actually disappeared, which I used to find okay, when I first heard about that, it took me a couple of years to wrap my brain about that. And I've read more other people, spine doctors, same experience. And I've since learned that it triggers and possibly could trigger the fear response, which is one of the main reasons for anxiety and fear is the brain perceives a threat. So if you believe that you've got some problem with your back, which is not necessarily true, it's been shown and researched that even if you have some kind of abnormality, that's not really causing the pain. It couldn't possibly cause that amount of pain. So just having the education of this is how it can work, and here's the documentation for people's experience. If you look up Howard Stern online, John Sarno is his hero. Howard Stern had back pain, and he went to see Dr. Sarno, and gone. I don't watch Howard Stern, I'm not a big fan, but hey, I believe what he's saying. So that's just one instance, but there's many more. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to do a lot of psychoeducation, going to do a lot of self-inquiry experiments. I'm going to take your issues and work with them. We're going to go beyond your issues, though. So my goal for you is to have a different experience with your own relationship with your mind.
Very nice. Okay, and if you want to learn more about our classes or sign up, just go to brushwithlifehypnosis.com. We have another question here. They're starting to come now. This is from Don Mousy. How you doing, Don? Good to see you again. By the way, SG says, I hope this will be available to replay later. We're going to do that for you, so we're recording this as well. Don asks or says, I never had a panic attack until recently. Can they be related to menopause or hormones?
Oh, God, they could be related to anything. I mean, menopause, huge, hormones, yeah. The thing is, so sometimes when you're trying to, like I said, figure all this stuff out, that could be a deep dive. It might even be an impossible one. What we do is we want to more look at the how and the when of it. How, see, what did she say the first, but she's getting anxiety? She's
never had a panic attack until recently.
It may or may not be related to that, but there's something going on that recently has created these panic attacks. But the something doesn't really create the panic attack. The panic attack is anxiety on steroids. Let's put it that way. Okay, all anxiety is self-created. So you want to look at what are you saying to yourself? What are you feeling? What's going on right before you start to get whatever those symptoms start to appear to you? You want to check and see what's going on. This work is all about seeing where you're at, observing yourself. What's going on with, again, the feelings, the imagery, or that voice in your head. Something is informing you it feels like it's under attack. It feels like a threat. Now, it might even not even be something chemical or, something related to a physiological. It will manifest itself physiologically, but it might even just be a change in a job, or maybe a relationship, or maybe you've had some new information that's going to change your life. Your brain could take that as a perceived threat, even though it's just kind of a change, and it could be a change for the better. So there's many aspects that it could be. But that is something that, if a client came to me with that, we would be looking at, see, how do you do this? Because they are doing it. They are creating this, and for a reason. So that's the path you'd want to go down, but down to.
Very cool. Okay, thanks for the question, Don. Hope that helps a little bit. Jokester, I did see your comment about my voice coming in hot. It usually does. I'm very shouty. I've nudged the microphone a little bit away from me. But, Andrew, if you pick up on that, just let me know. Okay, cool. Thanks for that. All right, here's another question. This comes from Thomas Ballantyne. How you doing, Thomas? Thanks for popping in. I find that my thoughts mirror my environment. Once I declutter my environment, my thoughts become decluttered, and I can explore other things. Is this a coincidence?
I don't think so. I love my environment where I live, and I've made a conscious effort. Every day I find something new to improve on it, because I spend a lot of time just sitting down in my room. I happen to live right next to the ocean. So I have the front room is my peaceful place just to relax. I have a plant now, which I've never been a plant person. And I'm looking at this plant every day, and it's grown 2 inches since Christmas. My sister gave it to me.
Look at you.
It's exciting.
They love ukulele music, by the way.
They do? Well.
They respond.
Well, no wonder. Maybe that's it, because I practiced out there. Environment, I think it's an expression of what's going on inside with you. And I find the more I make my surroundings beautiful and functional, because I'm also an artist too, so I have to know. So now it took me about 2 years, but if I say, where is the screwdriver? I know where it is. Okay? So you don't have to now spend time looking for all these things, because you know exactly where they are.
And that's the tool, not the drink.
That's the tool. Yes.
Just making sure, Linda.
Very good. Very good. That's a good metaphor. Yes. But the other thing I wanted to say about that, and lost my train of thought because that was funny.
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I know it. What did I want to say? Something about your environment. It'll come to me. I can't think of what it is at the moment.
We do this in regular conversation too.
Yeah, I know. I know. Yeah.
It's a pretty cool question, though.
Yeah, it is. I know that the answer's right on the tip of my tongue. The other thing I wanted to say, but
what do you think is going on when people mirror other people's personalities?
Oh, when they mirror other people's personalities.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of things could go on. Well, there is a mirroring aspect to our brain. So that's a long answer, but there's a mirroring aspect. In fact, when I first went to hypnosis certification school, we call it mirroring. You actually mirror the person you're sitting in front of. So I could blink my eyes exactly how you're blinking your eyes.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah. I could shake my head. I could notice your breathing.
Yep.
You want to, coincide with the person's actions, and that puts you in sync with them. So maybe people are doing that unconsciously right from the get-go.
Right. You'll notice when you hang out with people for a long time, maybe you start talking like them. Maybe you have the same staccato or musicality to your phrases, or
Yeah, they've actually shown that you actually look like each other. Like, these couples that have been married 50, 60 years. Oh, my God.
In, matching
can you imagine that?
At the yard sale?
Yeah.
Yeah, those people. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot to that. Also, because you're when you smile, your eyes, crinkle up in such a way, and your mouth, and all that. And that, that forms your facial features after a while.
All those mannerisms, right.
Yeah. So, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
What made you think of that?
I went off of Thomas's question there.
All
right, so Don Mousy thanks you for answering her. And Thomas, I hope that helps a little bit. If there's more to that, we'll add to it.
Yeah, if I remember the end of what I wanted to say about that, because it was kind of
the best part, too.
I know it was, but I can't think of it at the moment. Anyway.
Right. So if you have questions for Linda, we have a little bit of time left. So when are you thinking of starting these workshops? And what?
Well, as soon as I get enough people, I'm only going to take 10 people max, but I'm not going to wait till I get 10. If I get 5 people, it's a go. Mm-hmm. It depends on their time zone and all of that. So once I get the response, I'll talk to them and I'll make the decision on the time frame. Right. So I'm going to do it that way because there is so much diversity. I mean, some people are in Australia and the UK and all over the place, but it's great because look, we're talking to people all over the world. Yeah. I find this to be astounding. I love it.
Yeah. And now, so the idea is these are multiple workshops, right?
Well, I think I'm going to have one on the weekend because a lot of people, if they work all week, because of the time zone, it's too late for them or it's too early in the morning. So I'll have one on the weekend and then one during the week for people who are available during the day. So that's the only reason I'm going to do it that way, gotcha. Or, depending on what kind of response and how many people get. But how much time do we have? Because I do want to I have something I want to read.
You go right ahead.
And we seem to have a lot of people on there. So
Thomas is thanking you, by the way, for your answer. So
great.
Thanks, Thomas.
So I want to read this poem, If, by Rudyard Kipling. I'm sure a lot of people have heard it. And this poem, I read it periodically, and it always moves me every time I read it. And the reason I want to read it is because Kipling, this speaks to the heart of the work I do. And he knew. I find it to be absolutely astounding. So I want to read it. We have enough people here that, can enjoy it. So let me read this to you. It's If. If you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make all allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. And yet don't look too good or talk too wise. If you can dream and not make dreams your master, if you can think and not make your thoughts your aim, if you can meet triumph and disaster, and make those two impostors the same. If you can bear to hear the truth you've spoken, twisted by knaves to make a trap for fools, or watch the things you gave your life to be broken, and stoop and build them up with worn-out tools. If you can make one heap of all your winnings and risk it on one turn of pitch and toss, and lose and start again at the beginnings and never breathe a word about your loss. If you can force your heart and nerve and sinew to serve your turn long after they're gone, and so hold on to when there is nothing in you except the will which says to them, hold on. If you can talk with crowds and keep your virtue, or walk with kings, nor lose the common touch, if neither foes nor loving friends can hurt you, if all men count with you, but none too much, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of a distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it, and which is more, you'll be a man, my son.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So why did this resonate with you so soundly?
If you take this line by line, there's so much in here. At the end of it, I would say I would change, and my own verse would be, you would be the best of what it means to be a human being. Being is the key word. So if you just take the first line, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs, and blaming it on you. Again, there's your thinking. You're speaking what you want to say, okay? And there's chaos going on all around you. I mean, where have we seen this? But you're not going to lose your head. You're going to be clear-minded and have a peaceful heart, and you're going to act accordingly. That's not always easy. That is the heart of my workshop, is that you can maintain clear mind and a peaceful heart, no matter what's going on with people, places, and things.
So when you first came upon this,
yeah.
Was there an immediate clicking with you, or is it something that you knew younger and then maybe later in life?
Yeah, I've been reading this poem for about maybe 10 years. 10 years. And things, depending on where you're at in life, again, you hear things how you hear them. And you hear what you're going to hear in that moment. And it's usually different as you change and grow. I do that with books. If I read a book, I always reread the books I like.
Right.
You're always in a different place, and you're like, geez, I didn't see that before. Is this the same book?
Yeah, good point.
You're always growing. Every moment is in the past.
Well, I imagine it's almost like listening to your favorite songs over and over, where I've listened to this song 1,000 times in my life. Why am I still... And you're appreciating different things.
Yeah, exactly.
And that song sort of becomes a part of you at some point as well. But that's fascinating.
And like I said, every time I take it out every once in a while over the years and I read it, the poem itself just moves me. I mean, has so much truth in it about, real life, real experience. Unfortunately, I mean, his son did die in a war. I can't remember which one it was, but 3 years after the poem was written for his son. But it just really moves me because, there's all of life is in this poem, and he knew. He knew. He just says it, It's about dreams. It's about people taking your words and twisting them. I mean, isn't this going on in the world right now as we speak? So hold on when there's nothing in you except the will to say hold on. People have lost their finances, lost their lives to COVID and everything. Everything is in this, So...
And you just keep a copy nearby?
I've put it under plastic, and I keep it right next to my desk. Yeah, and last night, usually things come to me in my dreams or in the middle of the night when I wake up, and this poem, and I said, this is what I'm going to talk about tomorrow.
Oh, really?
And there it was. Thank you very much.
What do you know?
Yeah.
This is how Linda thinks and works, folks. Well, that's why I like hanging out with you so much, too.
Yeah.
I think it's important to be able to take a breath and try to understand some of the whys or try to change some of the things. Like everything's a process. You're a process. I'm a process. How we go about our daily lives is a process. And any little thing we can do to, part of living and learning to help make these little tiny adjustments as we navigate life,
Yeah, and the main thing I want people to get today is change does not have to take a long time. I have been working on this. Rapid and lasting change is my motto. That's why I say 4 sessions, okay? The first couple of sessions, you're really going to get it. And then I'd like you to go out in life and practice a little bit. When I do workshops and things like that, there's usually no follow-up. So you go out in life, you're practicing a little bit, you have a few challenges, and there's nobody to ask a question to. I mean, you can go on their Facebook page and, and ask the question to the whole group, which I don't like doing. And I'm like, so this way, you have a chance to work it a little bit, to learn something new, to go out and come back, bring it back to the group, and practice it a little bit. And, it takes a little cultivation. It's a lifestyle, a way of living. You don't just get this once and for all and, you're good. Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, when you are having a challenge, or very, very emotional, something like that, just ask yourself, and just remember to ask yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, how much is this disturbing me in the moment, If it's a 6, okay, just remember, this is what human beings do. We just forgot. We got absorbed into the story of what our mind was telling us, that maybe, You're such a loser. You're never going to be able to do this. That's just, your mind's coming up with that from some crazy place back in the archives. So now you're 60% absorbed in that thought. You just forgot that it was just a thought. Right. And that's never going to stop. You're just going to get better at it. I can go, just a thought, and go on. Some people are like, it's just a thought, but it's not. I'm not changing. I get that a lot at first. I know it's just my thought, but it's not making a difference. I know. Well, it takes a little bit of noticing that and a little bit of, tweaking. I would just say to yourself, my new question is, who are you without that story? Just close your eyes. Ask yourself that in the moment. Who am I without that story? Who am I? I'm just here in the moment, doing my thing.
But I wonder, Linda, what if that person, though, asking herself that question, really is unhappy with herself to begin with, right? And then to reflect and say, well, this is part of my story,
question.
Right?
Yeah, good question. It's part of your story. So there's a couple of things you said in that. What was the first part? How did you say the question? The first
if
part?
The person
was unhappy in the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, when did that start? When was that beginning? Okay. And you're just having a feeling of unhappiness. Where are you without that unhappy story? Are you disappearing? You're still here. You're not believing that story. Good question. Who are you? You are the happiness that you seek. You are born a fabulous human being with an ability to have a clear mind and a peaceful heart. And it's just believing all those darn stories that your mind is creating, because it needs to have a meaning to keep this organism alive in the moment. And it's got to come up with something really, really quick. And since this incredible brain of ours can compute millions and millions of computations, per second, it's coming up with this story. I'm unhappy because who knows, this happened, that connects everything off the past. It's telling you, I'm unhappy in the moment. Really? You're just having unhappy moments. You're here. There's an unhappy moment that you're feeling. Okay, it's a feeling. It's a voice in your head. It's an image maybe associated with it. It's the computational storm in your head. Write this down if you have to. Keep it on a note card. I love note cards. And when you're having a moment, just remember this and look, is this true? Am I just having an unhappy moment? Am I just having a feeling of sadness? Even the sadness is a story. You're just having a feeling. Where is that feeling in your body? Just look at the energy. Let go of the memory. Let go of the story. Just be in the energy, because energy dissipates. Okay? If you're using your overthinking, try to figure it out. Thinking is going to try to pry it open. So much easier just to let it dissipate. It'll move.
Very cool. All right, folks, if there's any questions left, you can throw them our way right now. We're just about to button things up. There you go, Sandra Spidel saying thank you.
Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Good.
Hope that helped.
Yeah, and then I'll be live again tonight at 7 p.m. to take questions for Annette. But if you have additional questions for Linda, you can always ask through me as well. Would you want people to email you at all if they have questions for you?
Linda Szabo 345@gmail.com. Yeah, email me with questions.
Yeah.
If you want, or I'll tell you about all the details about the webinar. And but if you just have questions and want to talk to me in contact, I'll be happy to talk to you.
So, and Linda, so my last question for you is, why was the topic of overthinking important enough for you to want to turn this into small group online workshops?
Because if you notice through this whole, what are we talking about? Thinking, over, always, it's there. It comes up. You can't have an experience in life without thought. This is already a researched, It's a thing that people have known about human beings for forever.
Yeah, common knowledge.
Yeah, common knowledge. So we've just misunderstood how the thinking process works and how to use it for ourselves. So once you really get this, then you're going to be emotionally liberated. And that's where I want you to get. Because when you live your life with an emotional freedom and you're not affected by people, places, and things, you can act and not react. That's a hell of a way to live.
Yes, it is. Let's see. Thomas, I'm retaining my doctor's reference to the pan cycle to turn it around as a comfort scale. I find if I think pain, it fires nerves up.
Okay. Training doctor's reference to the pain scale. Okay. So first of all, don't use the word pain. Change it to discomfort. That really triggers the brain. Okay. And describe it as like what's happening with it. Like, is it a vibration? Is it a sharp stabbing? Really, really just describe it and watch it, because when you focus on it, it's going to move somewhere, okay? Just watch whatever comes up in your brain. You might even get a metaphor. If you get a metaphor that shows up, it's, like you say, it fires up the nerves. Okay, well, just take a moment and picture yourself. I don't know what part of the country you live in, but picture yourself, you're in the middle of a blizzard. And allow that blizzard just to numb out that part of your body. And just allow it to just cool the fire. And as you're cooling the fire, just notice how good that feels. So use a metaphor. Your brain responds to metaphors. So again, just take yourself away from the moment. Describe what's really happening because it's a sensation. Don't give it a label, pain. Just call it, it's uncomfortable. That's a good place to start.
There you go. Thanks for the comment, Thomas. Kimberly Noralahi is asking, Linda, if I can't attend the class that you offer, how can I hear more about your perspective on the subject?
I'm going to be making a lot of new videos. I have to finally update my website, and so I'm working on that. So I'll have a lot more videos on there about topics and, like video blogs and things like that.
Mm-hmm. There you go, folks. All right. That was an hour,
That was amazing. Wow,
that
went by fast.
Time flies with the two of us.
This is so much fun, I have to tell you. And you guys, you're awesome. I love you guys.
Yeah, I can't wait to do this again with you. Now, let's talk about that, too. When we do this again, week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it is, are we going to pick a topic then, too? Should we ask folks what they want to talk about?
Ask them what they want to do.
We know the big one that they wanted last month, remember? The procrastination?
Yeah. And
they love that one.
Yeah, and that got me thinking about what it was, how I wanted to talk about all this, too. And really expanded out my thinking because my workshop is going to be the advanced course. And I say that, but only because I'm going for the bigger picture, okay? Emotional liberation. I kind of think that's big. Now, everybody is where they're at. I've been studying this for years. I think I've read every self-help book there is, and I've listened to every podcast. And maybe you haven't done that yet. Maybe you're just beginning the journey, So, when I first started this with you, I'd never really done this before. So we were, talking about different issues and things like that. But I was kind of holding myself back because I didn't know how much this audience could, really grasp or want to grasp or understand what I was talking about. Okay, when you talk about mind, consciousness and thought, which is really the umbrella of what we're talking about here. Mm-hmm. And so after I said, you know what, let's just go for it. You can tell me if you don't understand something, I'm happy to explain it in a different way, But let's just go for the bigger picture here.
Oh, and I was surprised by how many folks, the first couple of times we had discussions, were really into neuroscience or hypnosis,
right.
Or anything or change work, anything like that. So I thought it was really cool. So I knew within the first 10 seconds of us talking, I already know this would be important conversations to have on the channel here.
Yeah, and also if you've heard anything today that I've said, that sparks an interest or something like that. That's what I'm thinking is going to also happen. So I've thrown some bigger ideas out there. I want to see what people heard. You know, did they get anything from it? You know, if you take a few moments just to ask yourself, you know, who am I without that story? You know, that can change your life. And I'm a big believer in, you know, just if somebody hears something, you know, I think I've said this before, just a few words in the right moment can change your world. That's how it works for me. I hear something somebody said, and I'm like, oh, my God, I've never really thought about it that way before. Boom, I'm going to use that. And makes a huge difference.
Yeah, very cool. So, folks, if you want to take Linda's online workshop, you just go to brushwithlifehypnosis.com. There we go. Thanks for that, Andrew. We want to thank everyone who spent time with us today and for all the questions. It was really cool to do this with you guys on a dreary Tuesday afternoon here in Gloucester. But what an uplifting hour we just
dreary
had.
Is a story. I love it out there.
Yeah, you can't get by. You can't get by Linda with that.
Yeah.
So, okay, we want to thank Anna Lee for moderating, as always. Thanks for your time, Anna Lee, and for everyone joining us. Thanks for all the thumbs up. Please subscribe if you like the channel. We're going to replay this show some evening this week. Probably, I don't know, maybe Thursday night at 8 or 7 p.m., or Friday, somewhere in there we'll have this up for you in case you missed it the first time around or want to check it out again and participate in a live chat. So, hi, Marianne. Hi, Tamias. It's good to see you all. Lynn and I are just wrapping up. We'll figure out when we do a show again, and then I'll take down the topic and get questions from you folks as well. So I have a handful in front of me. And then also field your questions in real time, just like we did today. So thanks again for your time, Linda.
Hey, thank you. This was awesome.
There you go, folks.
Thank you.
Linda Szabo, brushwithlifehypnosis.com. Check it out, and we will see you soon on the bridge. Bye for now.
Bye.